Corbett wrote, there are two Gujar tribe brothers, were moving their herd of 30 buffaloes from one grazing ground to another. With them, there was the elder brother's 12-year-old daughter. They were strangers to the area and either didn't know about the man-eating leopard or thought their buffaloes would keep them safe. Near the road, at about 8,000 feet, there was a small strip of flat land. Below it there was the lay of a sickle-shaped, abandoned terraced field, about 1/4 of an acre in size. The men chose this place to camp. They cut wooden stakes from the nearby forest, drove them into the ground, and tied their buffaloes in a row. After the girl cooked dinner and they all ate, the three spread their blankets between the road and the buffaloes and went to sleep. It was a dark night. In the early hours of the morning, the men woke up to the loud sound of buffalo bells and the animals snorting in fear. From experience, they knew this meant a predator was nearby. They lit a lantern, a lamp, and went among the buffaloes to calm them and check that none had broken loose. They were gone only a few minutes, but when they returned, the girl was missing. Her blanket was soaked with blood. At sunrise, the father and uncle followed the blood trail. It went around the buffaloes, across the field, and down the hillside to the place where the leopard had eaten her. Person said to Corbett in tears, "My brother was born under an unlucky star, sir, he has no son, only this daughter who was soon to be married, and now the leopard has eaten her." There were many such tragedies, enough to terrify the people of Garhwal. The locals were very superstitious. They feared not only the leopard's attacks but also the possibility of something supernatural. One early morning, I left the small Rudraprayag inspection bungalow. In the dust outside, I saw the fresh pug marks, footprints, of the man-eater. They showed that the leopard had been on the veranda, a front yard. He was there only minutes earlier. Later he had towards the Pilgrim Road about 50 yards away. I couldn't track him across the hard ground, but at the gate, I saw his tracks again. A flock of sheep and goats had passed the evening before, and in the dust they had stirred up, the leopard's prints were clear. I knew these tracks well. They belonged to a large old male leopard, long past his prime. From the freshness of the marks, I could tell he was only a few minutes ahead of me, walking at a steady pace. The road wound through small ravines. Since it was possible the leopard might still be around after daylight, I moved carefully around each bend. A mile ahead, his tracks left the road and went up to a goat path into thick jungle. Near that spot there was a small field, with a thorn fence enclosure, where a flock of sheep and goats had camped the night before. The owner, an old packman who had been trading along the Pilgrim Road for nearly 50 years, was just opening the fence when I arrived. He said he hadn't seen the leopard, but at dawn time his 2 sheepdogs had barked, and a barking deer, Kakar, had called from the jungle above. I asked to buy a goat to use as a bait for the man-eater. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he closed the fence again, accepted one of my cigarettes, and sat down. After smoking quietly, he spoke. "Sahab, sir, I have heard of you on my journey from my village near Badranath. It grieves me that you came all this way for nothing. The spirit is responsible for these deaths. It is not just an animal you can kill with a bullet. Let me tell you a story my father told me, and I know he never lied. He said, when my father was a young man, before I was born, a similar evil spirit came to our village. People said it was a leopard. Men, women, and children were killed in their own homes. Traps and guns failed. Terror spread. No one went outside after sunset. The village headman called a public meeting. An old man, whose grandson had been killed the previous night, stood up and said it was not a real leopard at all. It was a man from among them who turned into a leopard when he wanted human flesh. Such a creature could not be killed with bullets, only with fire. He suspected a sadhu, holy man, living near a ruined temple. There was an uproar. Some said the old man came mad with grief, while others agreed with him. They remembered that the Sadhu had arrived when the killings has began. And that after each killing he slept all day in the sun. The panchayat group decided to watch him. These men divided themselves into 3 groups, each to watch on different nights. On the first 2 nights, the Sadhu, a holy man, never left his hut. My father's group watched on the 3rd night. Soon after dark, they saw the hut door open and the sadhu slip away. Hours later, a scream came from high in the mountains where a charcoal burner lived. Then silence. At dawn time, they saw the sadhu hurrying home, his mouth and hands was dripping with blood. When he went inside, they locked the door from outside with a chain, gathered straw, and set the hut on fire. By sunrise, it was ashes, and from that day, the killing stopped. The old packman told me that no suspicion had yet fallen on any of the sadhus, holy men, in this area. But if it ever did, the people would deal with them in the same way his father's village once had, by burning them alive, and until then, the people of Garhwal would continue to suffer. I had asked him to sell me a goat. He refused, saying he had none to spare, but after hearing his story, if I still wanted to use an animal as bait for what I believed was a man-eating leopard, he would lend me a sheep. If the sheep was killed, I would pay for it, if not, no money would be exchanged. He told me he would rest there for the day and night, but at the first rising star, around 4 a.m., the traditional time packmen begin their journey, he would be on his way. That evening, just before sunset, I went back to the thorn enclosure. The old man cheerfully let me pick a strong, fat sheep, heavy enough to feed the leopard for 2 nights. I tied the sheep in the scrub jungle near the path where the leopard had passed about 12 hours earlier. The next morning, I was up early. Leaving the bungalow, I again saw the man-eater's fresh pug marks. He had come from Golabrai, and stopped by the bungalow, and then headed toward Rudraprayag Bazaar, local market. This showed that he was hunting for a human victim, not interested in the sheep I had tied. I wasn't surprised to find the sheep dead but untouched, killed soon after I had tied it. The packman, as he left for Haridwar with his flock, and gave me his parting advice. Go back home, Sahib, and save your time and money. A similar incident, but without such a tragic ending, happened near Rudraprayag some years earlier. People were angry over the killings and believed a human was behind them. A sadhu from the village of Kothki was captured by an angry crowd. Before they could harm him, Philip Mason, the deputy commissioner of Garhwal, arrived. Seeing the crowd's mood, Mason said he believed they had the real culprit, but insisted that justice required proof. He suggested the sadhu be arrested and watched day and night. The people agreed. For 7 days and nights, the sadhu was guarded. On the 8th morning, during the change of guards, news came that a house in another village had been broken into the night before and a man taken away. The crowd accepted that they had caught the wrong person and released the sadhu, saying that next time they would not make a mistake. In Garhwal, all man-eater killings are blamed on sadhus. In the Nainital and Almora districts, such killings are blamed on Boksars, a tribe from the Terai plains who live mainly by hunting. Locals believe sadhus kill for the taste of human flesh, and Boksars kill for jewelry or valuables. I have lived too long in lonely places to be easily influenced by imagination, yet during my months in Rudraprayag, after many nights of watching bridges, crossroads, village approaches, and kills, I sometimes imagined the man-eater as a pale-colored beast, with the body of a leopard but the head of a demon. In my mind, he would watch me through the night, laughing silently at my failed attempts to trap him, licking his lips, and waiting for the one careless moment when he could leap and sink his teeth into my throat. Some might ask what the government was doing all those years while the Rudraprayag man-eater was killing people. I can say, after spending 10 weeks in the area and walking hundreds of miles to visit most villages, that the government tried everything it could. Offered rewards, locals believed they totaled 10,000 rupees plus 2 villages, enough to tempt all 4,000 licensed gun owners in Garhwal to try to kill the man-eater. Hired skilled hunters with promises of extra rewards. Issued over 300 extra gun licenses just for shooting the man-eater. Allowed soldiers of the Garhwal regiments to take rifles home or borrow sporting guns. Appealed through newspapers for hunters all over India to help. Set dozens of traps with goats as bait along village paths and roads the leopard used. Distributed poison to be used on human kills. Government officers themselves often joined the hunt at personal risk. The total result of all this? Just a minor gunshot wound to the pad of the leopard's left hind foot, removing a small piece of skin from a toe, and official reports noting that the leopard seemed to thrive even after eating poisoned flesh. 3 incidents recorded in government reports stand out. 1. The Bridge Incident, 1921. 2 young British officers came to Rudraprayag to shoot the man-eater. They believed the leopard crossed the Alkananda River on the suspension bridge. One sat on the tower on the left bank, the other on the right. After 2 months, the man on the left saw the leopard on the bridge and fired. As the leopard ran across, the man on the right emptied all 6 revolver shots. Blood was found on the bridge and hillside. Thinking they had fatally wounded him, they searched for days. Later, I learned the truth: the first bullet had only grazed the pad of his left hind foot and taken part of a toe. All the revolver shots had missed. Some might ask what the government was doing all those years while the Rudraprayag man-eater was killing people. I can say, after spending 10 weeks in the area and walking hundreds of miles to visit most villages, that the government tried everything it could. Offered rewards, locals believed they totaled 10,000 rupees plus 2 villages, enough to tempt all 4,000 licensed gun owners in Garhwal to try to kill the man-eater. Hired skilled hunters with promises of extra rewards. Issued over 300 extra gun licenses just for shooting the man-eater. Allowed soldiers of the Garhwal regiments to take rifles home or borrow sporting guns. Appealed through newspapers for hunters all over India to help. Set dozens of traps with goats as bait along village paths and roads the leopard used. Distributed poison to be used on human kills. Government officers themselves often joined the hunt at personal risk. The total result of all this? Just a minor gunshot wound to the pad of the leopard's left hind foot, removing a small piece of skin from a toe, and official reports noting that the leopard seemed to thrive even after eating poisoned flesh. 3 incidents recorded in government reports stand out. 1. The Bridge Incident, 1921. 2 young British officers came to Rudraprayag to shoot the man-eater. They believed the leopard crossed the Alkananda River on the suspension bridge. One sat on the tower on the left bank, the other on the right. After 2 months, the man on the left saw the leopard on the bridge and fired. As the leopard ran across, the man on the right emptied all 6 revolver shots. Blood was found on the bridge and hillside. Thinking they had fatally wounded him, they searched for days. Later, I learned the truth: the first bullet had only grazed the pad of his left hind foot and taken part of a toe. All the revolver shots had missed. 2. The trap escape. After about 20 leopards had been caught and killed in trapdoor traps, one was caught that everyone thought was the man-eater. The Hindu villagers would not kill it for fear of being haunted by the souls of its victims. They sent for a Christian man from 30 miles away to do it. Before he arrived, the leopard dug out of the trap and escaped. 3. The Cave Incident. After killing a man, the leopard hid with his kill in a small patch of jungle. The next morning, villagers saw him leaving and chased him into a cave, blocking the entrance with thorns and rocks. Crowds grew daily, and on the 5th day about 500 people were there. A man of influence came, mocked them, and removed the thorns. The leopard burst out and escaped through the crowd unharmed. If the leopard had been killed on the bridge, in the trap, or in the cave, hundreds of people would have been spared, and Garhwal would have been saved years of fear and suffering. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to your channel, Worst Animal Attack, for more true and terrifying tales from the wild. We'll be back soon with another gripping video. Until then, stay safe, and take care.